Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video on the Toque de Football channel. Today I bring you guys a video about the Barcelona versus Newcastle Champions League game. And let me tell you guys that it was not an easy game for Barcelona. It was a hard fought win, but at the end of the day, Barcelona get a victory to start off their Champions League debut with a 2-1 victory away at Newcastle. Let's talk about this game though, because truthfully, I have to give credit to Newcastle. At least for the first 30 minutes of the first half, Newcastle made Barcelona very uncomfortable. They pressured Barcelona off the start. Whenever Barcelona would give the ball to John Garcia, a goalkeeper who actually looks so comfortable today and so confident. He looks like a type of player that is the type of goalkeeper that anyone in the world wish they had at this moment. But Newcastle just really didn't allow Barcelona to get any real football going from their back end. Whenever Barcelona would try to play from the back, they had at least 2, 3 players pressuring them as high as possible. It actually became very difficult for Barcelona to get out from their own defensive third. And that was merit to Newcastle's high pressure. Now, watching this game, I was a little worried at the beginning, but I knew that Newcastle was going to struggle to maintain this high pressure throughout the whole game. And as the minutes went on, Newcastle's intensity started to waver a little bit, and Barcelona, around the 30th minute mark, started to settle into the game. Now, I still have to give credit to Newcastle because even with the intensity going down on their end, they really did make Barcelona uncomfortable by not allowing them to have any clear chances on goal, if I'm being completely honest. Barcelona didn't have a single shot on target all first half, and that's merit to what Newcastle did. Newcastle knew how to shut down Barcelona, and they did it by staying organized in the back whenever Barcelona would have the ball, by pressuring them, and by shutting down the most creative player Barcelona has, Pedri. Pedri struggled in the first 30 to 35 minutes of the game, not allowing him any space, making sure that if he was going to dribble the ball, he was going to lay it off right away without any sort of through ball or any sort of long ball to find his attackers up front, Rafinha, Rashford, or Lewandowski. It was tough for Pedri to get anything going for Barcelona, and when you take Pedri out of the game, you essentially take the heart out of Barcelona. People might say that the most important player is Lamine MoM, Rafinha, Lewandowski, but in my opinion, I think the most important player is Pedri. And if you watch Barcelona, you can see it. Whenever Pedri is not in tune with the rest of the roster, then it becomes very tough for Barcelona to get anything going offensively. And Newcastle did great on that, and pretty much the whole first half, I would say. Now, Newcastle did struggle on their end in front of goal. They had to be clinical. In order to beat a team like Barcelona, a giant in Europe, you have to be clinical. And if you get those opportunities in front of goal, you have to put them in the back of the net. Newcastle had at least 2 opportunities to put the goals in the back of the net, and they couldn't get it done. The first one came from Gordon with a great play by Elanga down the wing. And I got to say that I think Elanga was the best player for Newcastle in the first half, at least the best offensive player in the first half. He really took it to Gerard Martin, who struggled with Elanga's pace, and he caused havoc for Barcelona in the final third. Unfortunately, Gordon was not able to get a foot on a great cross from Elanga, and thankfully for Barca, Gordon just whiffed the ball, completely whiffed it. And the second one came also down the line from Elanga, where I believe he played it out to Barnes on the opposite end, and John Garcia, I'm telling you guys, John Garcia had an amazing game. He played so confident, like he's played in Champions League so many times before. He saved Barcelona with an amazing save off his foot. Really, both Gordon and Barnes should have scored. You're in front of goal, you have to smash it in. And when you allow Barcelona to escape these opportunities, then this is what happens at the end of the game. You lose the game because Barcelona eventually starts to settle in the game, and that's what happened. Now, let's talk on the Barcelona side. Barcelona struggled, like I said. The whole first half, they looked uncomfortable because of what Newcastle was doing. Guys like Rafinha, guys like Rashford weren't able to get anything going. Whenever they did get the ball, they were outnumbered because Barcelona was so behind trying to build up play that they would have to resort to the long ball. And in the long ball, Rafinha couldn't always win his one-on-ones. Same thing with Rashford, and Lewandowski struggled a lot as well in the first half. Uh, Shar made sure that Lewandowski wouldn't get anything going. He was right on him, and that's how you have to defend this Barcelona team. If you're going to beat Barcelona, you know that you have to defend them well, you have to pressure them, and then you have to counterattack. And I think Newcastle did that great in the first half. But like I said, if you're going to do this to Barcelona, you have to make sure you keep up the intensity the whole game, or you have to put the goals in the back of the net. Second half came, and Barcelona once again came out a little flat, and Newcastle essentially were doing the same thing they did in the first 30 minutes of the game. They were pressuring Barcelona, they weren't allowing them to get anything going, but Barcelona slowly started to settle into the game. Pedri finally was able to find himself with the ball, was able to make a couple players miss, and was finally orchestrating Barcelona's attack. And thanks to two genius plays from Rashford, and I gotta say, Rashford, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything I've said about you. I'm sorry for calling you a bum. I'm sorry for saying you were the last resort. I'm sorry for saying that you can't play football. You proved me wrong today. You proved me wrong, and I think you proved all your fans right. Because I had heard a lot of times that Barcelona fans were rooting for you and they were hoping that one day you would save us, and that day came today. That day came today. I don't know if it was because you stepped on English soil. I don't know if it was because we needed someone to step up because Rafinha wasn't stepping up. Fermin wasn't having a great game. Lewandowski couldn't get anything going, and we were missing our number 10, Lamine Yamal. And I think here in this game, after everything I've said prior in other videos in my streams, where I said that Barcelona has played better without Lamine Yamal, I think here we saw that Barcelona does indeed need a player like Lamine Yamal. When a team like Newcastle just sits back with four in the back and then a five line of midfielders, and then obviously Gordon also pitching in, Barcelona couldn't find a way to break them down. They needed someone that was more confident in their dynamic skills to get past and break down this defense, and Barcelona really truly did miss Lamine Yamal today. But Marcus Rashford with a cheeky header and a great assist from Koundé, who I gotta say, I think Koundé was our second best player on the pitch today. He really shut down Barnes. He shut down pretty much anything on his flank. His tackling was on point. He was reading the balls well, and his interceptions were just amazing. And of course, the assist comes, I believe, around the 58th minute. A great ball into the box, and Marcus Rashford puts it in the back of the net. He does what he needs to do. I think that goal gave Marcus Rashford confidence, because throughout the season, I've seen our Marcus Rashford who tried to be that player who could go on one-on-ones, but he was losing out a lot of times. A lot of times he would be his defender, but he'd run out of real estate. He'd go out of bounds, or he'd make a bad final touch and he'd lose the ball. This time around, I did see a Marcus Rashford that looked a lot more confident, and I don't know, like I said, if it's because he's used to playing in England or simply because he realized that Barcelona needed someone to step up. Regardless, whatever Rashford was feeling in that moment, after that goal, he turned into a completely new player. He demanded the ball more. He was a lot more confident than prior to this game and in this game in itself. I think that Marcus Rashford today saved Barcelona. My grade for Marcus Rashford is a 9 out of 10. You can't give a 10 out of 10 because he did have some moments where I think he should have done better, but you can't ask more from him. And then in the 67th minute, Marcus Rashford finds himself on the ball in the middle of the pitch around maybe the top of the box, and he cuts inside, cuts around a player of Newcastle, and he lets rip a rocket that Pope has no chance whatsoever to save it. No goalkeeper in the world would be able to save this, and Barcelona were in dreamland now. Up 2-0 with 30 minutes left in the game, and Newcastle reeling. Newcastle were on tired legs after all that intensity, and they were struggling to find the ball. Barcelona had finally settled in. They had a 2-goal margin, and that was essentially the end of the game. I know that Gordon got a goal in the 90th minute, but that really came out of nothing. It came against the run of play because Barcelona essentially had the game in control. They had the possession and they had the ball, and that's how Barcelona likes to play. Barcelona attempted to go for the third goal, but they were much more relaxed than they were in the first half, and they were much more comfortable than they were in the first half. Like I said, I think Marcus Rashford, Kunde, and John Garcia were our top three players in today's game. And then I got to put Pedri there. Once Pedri got settled in, once he became more comfortable, Barcelona was able to orchestrate plays, and Pedri was just pulling the strings at that point. Him and Frankie de Jong were really doing well to finally get Barcelona going, and I tip my hat off to Newcastle's effort. I think they did well. I think they put Barcelona in a difficult spot. They knew how to hurt Barcelona. Unfortunately, they just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. Newcastle possibly found the blueprint to beat Barcelona, although I think the blueprint's been out there. You just have to be clinical in order to beat Barcelona. You know they're going to play with the high line, and if you're going to have speedsters like Elanga, if you're going to try to play in on Barnes and Gordon, you have to make sure you put the ball in the back of the net, because if once Barcelona gets comfortable and once they find their stride, Barcelona is without a doubt one of the best teams in the world, and this is what happens. I think a great game to watch, very intense, very entertaining game for a neutral fan, very nerve-wracking for Barcelona fans in the first half, and nerve-wracking for Newcastle fans as well. Possibly a little more exciting in the first half, but nonetheless, Barcelona showed that they are resilient, that they can handle the pressure, that even when they look defeated, like in the first half when they could get nothing going, they find a way with their players, with their stars, and with a collective that finally comes together to get a win, a very important win, and start off their Champions League campaign with a huge W on the road. Let me know what you guys thought about the game. Let me know what you guys think about Marcus Rashford. Once again, Marcus Rashford, I apologize for everything I've said about you. I was wrong. I'm glad you finally proved me wrong. It took you a couple games, but hopefully this is the start of something great for Marcus Rashford at Barcelona, because we will need him, and I believe he'll probably be starting until Lamine is back, which is sometime in October, I believe. But yeah, thank you guys for watching the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.